YouTube University graduate here, period. If you click this video, you probably don't have $150,000 sitting around for you to go to school for graphic design. Yeah, I didn't either though. And a lot of people don't. You'll be surprised about how many people in this industry alone who are self-taught. And this is for those who are wanting to get into graphic design and just literally don't know where to start. You're like, I don't know what program to use first. I only know how to use Canva. Or maybe you just don't know where to start in general. Sometimes you just need a starting point, and I hope that I'm your starting point today. And who am I to even give you this advice? Well, I'm just a Black girl on the internet, first of all. And I have spent the past 4 or 5 years teaching myself design, which led me to work for an array of different startups, agencies, and even have my own clients. And recently I have left a position at Adobe Express. So I think with my experience, I can share a little bit of something to get you started. Now, if you are a super duper beginner, this is for you. I'm gonna rapid fire tell you everything to get. You need a computer that can handle really large programs. So I would say anything with 16 gigabytes of RAM memory so that your program can run smoothly and you can run multiple programs at once, or like have a video going and run your Illustrator program. Next, you want a hard drive. You want an external hard drive. These are up to maybe $100 some, but you can get a cheap one with low memory. You just need something. I would recommend anything other than having everything run through and on your computer hard drive itself. I would get a ruler. I would get multiple rulers. And this is just for the sake of teaching yourself sizing, measuring things. Like in design, everything's always usually so digital, but it's hard to kind of imagine stuff when it's just on the screen. So even just having a ruler around I promise you, you're gonna be like, dang girl, you were right. And then as far as software goes, I would just start with Adobe. Personally, that's just what the industry standard is. Industry standards require you to learn Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, Adobe InDesign. They want you to know things like this. If you want to start with a different program and you just don't want to pay for Adobe, start with Figma. I think Figma is a great tool to know how to use. That's just my opinion, just because Figma is like on the come up, but that's a whole different conversation. And I wouldn't suggest getting the whole Adobe Creative Suite at once because it is a more expensive price tag. So see what programs that you can get just with maybe Illustrator and Photoshop, or InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop. I think they have a package like that or something. I'll link it down below. We're trying to save money where we can because we're just starting. It's new. We don't know if we're gonna like this all the way. If you want to dive in, go ahead. But I'm telling you, just wait a second. So get your MacBook, get your ruler, get your programs downloaded. Make sure you get an external hard drive. Lastly, buy a nice, not too bougie, but just buy a nice notebook, blank pages, and a nice little pencil so you can start sketching. A big part of graphic design is drawing and sketching. You can make stuff that was just drawn on into digital art. First things first, just like school, you need to get into them books. This book, Graphic Design for Everyone, Understanding the Building Blocks So You Can Do It Yourself. I think this is a great starting book. I know this book has been written in a sense of, here's how you can do it yourself without hiring a designer. But I think it's great for if you're trying to start learning design. The basics are here. I mean, like every little basic thing, like what's a font? What's a type? Why is a color palette like this? What is CMYK? What is that? What? The book will literally teach you how to do a whole brand identity, start to finish. It talks about colors and how colors can attract different viewers. It talks so much about all these different basics that I feel like are strong principles every designer should know at least a little bit of. This book even goes into illustration, design for merchandise, for clothing. Everything's in here. I recently got this book from my homegirl Barbara. She treated me to the book. And this was around when I first started my agency, Fizzle Agency. And when I tell you it was a godsend, and I love referring to it just due to the information that's in there, like sizing, converting sizing from A4 to 8.5 by 11 or stuff like that. You know, it's all there. As you enter this career, you will hear some people say that there is a correct or wrong way to do things. However, I feel like there are basic principles of like, this is this way for a reason, or these rules are in place for a reason. However, I believe there's a quote and it says something like, you can't break the rules if you don't know the rules. Yeah, learn the rules. So I think starting off with something as basic as this book, it's going to help you at least learn the correct jargon, learn like sizes so you're familiar with it. This book I feel like is good for training your eye to certain things, like looking for hierarchy, looking for type hierarchy, looking for negative space, the golden ratio, like things like that where your eye can just catch. That's where you want to start at. How I would suggest you do this is get the book, start reading it, start familiarizing yourself with the basics. I would start with the type section. I would start with a lot of the aspect ratio hierarchies, learning about golden ratio. I would start there. And then while you're doing that, you can familiarize yourself with the correct jargon, all that stuff. Start there. Next, you're gonna start finding some design classes online. Personally, one of my favorite places that my friend Barbara also put me on to is Domestika. Domestika is great, especially right now. I don't know if they're slowly going out of it or what, but friend, every single class on there is pretty much $6-7. I'm pretty sure they have courses where it's just like the basics of Illustrator, the basics of Photoshop. And speaking of that, which one should you start with? Well, I think that depends on your goals and what you're trying to do. I personally would say for graphic design, start with Illustrator, because you need to learn the pen tool. Start there. So yeah, so you're gonna find a class, find something that's the basics. I wouldn't try to overwhelm yourself by trying to learn 3-4 programs at a time. So if you pick a program, stick with it and then grow from there. And I promise you, if you learn Illustrator, every single Adobe program is going to be 10 times easier to go into and learn. InDesign, Photoshop, Premiere Pro is literally all the same interface for the most part, at least to me. And I'm pretty sure people can comment down below and agree, because that's just how Adobe works. And so once you start taking your classes, take your intro to Illustrator, take like some classes on how to design a logo in Illustrator, or, you know, take classes that really interest you. I think with simultaneously learning everything in this book, both can go hand in hand with figuring out what you actually want to do in graphic design, because it's such a big spectrum to say just graphic design. Like you can do poster design, you can do logo, you can do branding, you can do music graphic design, you can, you know, be in the culinary industry. So there's so many different angles you can take this, but I think once you are, you know, getting the basics down, then we can move forward from there, you know. But just take your time and master one program at a time. Trust me. Yeah, you started your classes, you got your book going. Here are some of the places that you can also look to for education on graphic design. So one of my favorite places is YouTube, obviously, but specifically YouTube for Adobe Live. I'm a very visual person. I need to see, what are you clicking? What are you doing? How are you moving? Like, I have to really see everything. And one of my favorite ways to do that was watching Adobe Lives. I have mentioned this before over and over again, but Adobe Lives has literally helped me grow into a nice, great brand designer. I watched Hutzpah. I watched so many great people that have done branding for large companies at a large scale who have done really recognizable design, and this is your opportunity to literally watch them design and on their own screen from start to finish. That's literally free game, bro. Yes, the videos are 2 hours. Sometimes they're part 2, so that's 4 hours. But you'll be sitting in class for 4 hours at an art school. I know. I went to art school. You be sitting there for a long time. It's definitely easy to get bored, so I would definitely just have it on in the background some days, or just kind of like watch it while you're cooking or anything. Or if you really want to follow along, you can definitely like design while they're designing some of them. I definitely give credit to Adobe Live for a lot of things that I know today, just because I watched probably over 20 episodes. I have watched my fair share. I still watch sometimes, but not as often anymore. But I 100% Adobe Live. One of the other platforms I would suggest for you to start taking some courses is Skillshare. I love Skillshare down. I have used it before for sharpening up my skills a little bit more, getting down to the specifics. I think Skillshare is great because it is a monthly subscription rather than purchasing each class individually. With Skillshare, I would make sure you really look through the, what do you call, like a rubric or whatever, like what's going on in the class, so you can make sure it's on par to what you need to learn. You have a lot of cool people on Skillshare using their own time and money to teach you stuff for $32 a month. You know, that's tight. My last overall tip of really just training yourself in the design space, training yourself how to use tools, using the mouse and stuff correctly, I would say use graphic design games. I'll link some down below. I know this sounds so childish, but when I took one little graphic design class in college, our teacher made us do games like this all the time, because it was just a great way to train yourself into, can you recreate this? And I think that's one of the best things to do. And speaking of recreating stuff, there's this guy's video. I'm going to link down below. I'm going to go to the down below. Down below is where all the info is. I'm just talking. Go down below. You'll see there's video of this older guy. I'm pretty sure he's probably been working in this industry since a lot of us been thought of. He had really great insight on how to really figure out design and practice design and figure out what styles you like and just all this different stuff. He has some great tips in there, and I even use some of them myself, because it's like, you really put us onto something in here. So I genuinely love that video. I think it's literally like 10-15 minutes. If you found these tips helpful, if you tried it out, let me know. I hope some of you guys come back to this video like 3 years later and be like, girl, I did it. But I really hope you enjoy it. If you found any of this information helpful, or if you have any information to add on to, down in the comments below, let's just have the conversation. Let's help each other out and get some more people in this bitch. But yeah, I'm Nakia Pleasant. I own Fits All Agency. If you're interested in learning more about what Fits All Agency is and what we do, check out some other videos. Look at our website down below, and I will talk to you later. Don't forget to subscribe, please. Thank you. Peace out, y'all.